You're watching Arise, the world's standout news channel. Arise News, awards, and beyond.
Baba Jagaba, Your Excellency, sir, Ekabo Nilu Enugu State, King Walayo, King Bolayo, Your Excellency, Wonki, Bobawa Onki, Lopo Lopo, Wonki, Kolebuni, Ibu Kolemui, 2027, Ọlọ́run máa gbé ìdẹ́bẹ̀ padà. Your Excellency, King Walayo, King Bolayo, Eke, 2027, Your Excellency, sir, ní ọdún ìwà máa ṣe Christmas fún gbogbo alábìrí. Wọ́n ń kí yín gbogbo alábìrí tó wà nípa ẹ̀ ń kí yín. Jẹ́ kí wọ́n kọrin fún Your Excellency. Ṣé kí kọrin padà? Eke. Eke. 2027. Orekelewa. 2027. Ọlọ́run Gbénga. Eke. Our tomorrow is here. Peter Mba is here. Our tomorrow is here. Your Excellency, Ekabo sílùú Enugu, Ekabo Your Excellency, gbogbo alábìrí ó kí yín. Eke, asi, eke, 2027, eke, ikuko le muyi, eke, 2027, ikuko le muyi. Ibukole muyi, eke. Peter Mba is here. Our tomorrow is here. Peter Mba is here. Our tomorrow is here. Peter Mba is here. Our tomorrow is here. I hear you. Peter Mba is here. Our tomorrow is here. Again, Peter Mba is here. Our tomorrow is here. Peter Pan is here. Our tomorrow is here. Peter Pan is here. Our tomorrow is here. Peter Pan is here. I will speak it. Tomorrow is here. Peter Pan is here. Our tomorrow is here. Peter Pan is here. Our tomorrow is here. Peter Pan is here. Our Eke Asim. Eke 2026
Now, let's discuss today's commissioning of key projects across Enugu State by the President, Bola Tinubu. We have a newspaper columnist and public affairs analyst, Majid Dahiru, to do that with us in the studio this afternoon. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. And a happy new year.
Thank you very much. I wish you the same.
It's interesting, you know, a very beautiful way to start the year, looking at the commissioning that is happening in Enugu State. And we know that the President Bola Tinubu, would be right there live today to commission, you know, all of these projects. And we're seeing 30 completed and equipped Enugu Smart Green Schools that are out of 250 under construction across the 260 wards in the state, and symbolically at one of the schools in Enugu town. I'd like to first get your assessment, especially of the governor's performance and looking at what this commissioning means for the state.
Essentially, what it means for the state is promises made by Governor Peter Mba during his campaign for the governorship are being fulfilled incrementally. So it's like promise made, promise kept. That is what it means for the state. And if you have followed the developmental trajectory of Governor Mba since he became governor, there is this fidelity to the social contract he entered into with the Enugu people that is captured in his manifesto with deliverable timelines and specifics on what he intends to deliver. So each of these projects you've seen, including the water project he carried out within the first 180 days of his administration, and the schools he's commissioning now and hospitals and other projects, they are contained in his manifesto. He talks passionately about building smart schools for Enugu people in order to improve the human capital development of that state. We've seen that being implemented. And if you know him very well, he's a very serious-minded individual. You'll agree with me that even as a journalist or as a broadcaster, the kind of news coming out of Enugu State is about governance, mostly about governance, no distractions with partisan politics or any other trivial issues. So that tells you the level of seriousness he has brought to bear. Given his private sector background as a major player in the oil and gas industry, he has brought that same seriousness and efficiency into governance. And so what you are seeing today is also a product of efficient management of resources. Don't forget that despite this humongous commissioning of projects, Enugu State workers are also on 80,000 minimum wage a month. So you wonder, you know, the level of managerial skills you must have brought to bear in harnessing the resources of Enugu State to be able to deliver this level of good governance that are visible and appreciable.
You know, during his New Year's Day speech, you'd see the governor speaking passionately, saying that he's not going to relent, especially looking at the growth or development of infrastructure in the state. And we see that happening now. I'd like to hear your thoughts on looking at these green schools that he's commissioning. It shows his passion, of course, for education in the state. What development or developmental strides do you see this bringing to the state?
Improvement in human capital development. If you want to develop any society, education is very key, especially at the primary and secondary level. And for the first time in a long while, we are seeing investment directed at these levels of education. Ordinarily, most state governments build universities or polytechnics, but we are seeing an effort at developing primary and secondary school education, which is from a very, very key. And this is not just a happenstance. If you look at the budget of Enugu, in Mba's first budget in 2024, a budget of about 521 billion naira had over 400 billion dedicated to capital projects. That's about 80%. And for him to be able to achieve this level of investment in public education, don't forget this is qualitative public education that will be accessible and affordable for Enugu State residents and indigents. A whopping 33% of that total budget was dedicated to education. And so what you are seeing today is a direct product of prioritization of education, proper planning, and a balanced budget that gives so much to capital projects as against recurrent expenditure, which means Mba means business, and it's reflected in his budget. And to show sustainability for the future, the 2025 budget also contains 33% of the total budget dedicated to education, meaning that this is just the beginning of what we are likely to see in the next 3 years of his administration. And so the impact is going to have now is that there will be a relief for Enugu State residents who hitherto had depended on private primary and secondary education for their kids. They will now have qualitative affordable public education, something I have always advocated for their children. And in the future, that would have contributed to developing the manpower of Enugu State that can help to build that economy he intends to build. He talked about building a $33 billion economy for Enugu. You need an educated manpower. You need a skilled manpower to be able to do that. So these are the building blocks for that future economy he intends to achieve through quality education.
Yes, I'm looking at the fact that they are smart green schools. Yes. It's interesting looking at the way the world is growing.
Contemporary.
Yes,
it's not just building regular schools, conventional schools. He's taking Enugu into the future today.
AI is the name of the game, and I'm wondering what key steps would be put in place for sustainability, because we know that for this kind of infrastructure, you need a huge dose of sustainability.
That's why I said if you look at the fuller budget, he has also committed almost the same proportion of 33% of 2025 budget for education, meaning it's going to expand the current facilities and sustain the available ones. Because that is his vision. He is taking Enugu into the future. And this is what emulating. You know, a lot can be done at the subnational levels. And the government of Enugu under the leadership of Peter Mba is proving that indeed the subnational levels, particularly the states, are the building blocks of any economy. Because when the subnationals are successful, Nigeria becomes successful. Again, this is education. We have always advocated for government investment in quality education. So I am excited, and this is something that I believe other states should emulate. These are not just schools. These are schools that are preparing Nigerian children today for the future in a global competitive environment.
Will there also be trainings, technical know-hows, because of course to handle all of these gadgets?
Of course. Industry-relevant skills through qualitative education is what I see happening here. So that students or children in Enugu will learn in the same environment that children in New York are learning, children in New Zealand are learning, children in Netherlands
I'm talking about even the teachers, those who would be bringing this training the, would there be like train the trainers, arrangements?
I want to believe that for such an investment to have been made, I'm sure there would have been plans for that. Like I said, already the state is implementing an 80,000 minimum wage. So I would hope and believe that a special salary scale be introduced for teachers that will be able to manage such institutions so that the outcomes will be realized at the end of the day.
Okay, let's look at also one of the infrastructures that would be commissioned today, the completed multi-auditorium and multifunctional Enugu International Conference Center. Tell us the role this will play in the growth and development of the state. If
you visited Enugu before, I mean, regular visitor to Enugu Metropolis is one of the most beautiful cities in Nigeria, well laid out. Of course, it is the regional capital of the old Eastern region. So it is well laid out, well positioned, and has become a hub for entertainment, for arts, and for business conferences. Now, with this infrastructure, it's going to transform Enugu into a hub of events, conferences. So, the things you take about to do, Enugu now can host such events. What I will do is that it's going to bring revenue directly to the coffers of the state government. Secondly, if Enugu indeed becomes a beehive of activity because of this investment, it's going to have a multiplying effect on the economy of Enugu. So Enugu hospitality industry is going to benefit directly from this infrastructure you're saying. So you see, these are projects that are targeted to indeed grow the economy through multiplying effects of this investment. So I think it's very much a welcome development that this is taking place. Again, Enugu has the support infrastructure existing, and the government is also expanding those infrastructure to make Enugu a 21st century city that can host any event globally and from anywhere in the world. Interesting.
One other interesting infrastructure is the command center. That's the command center with 150 AI-equipped patrol vehicles, also with surveillance cameras and fitted with AI-embedded surveillance cameras, of course. What exactly do you see this, what role do you see it play in tackling insecurity in the state? You know that in 2023, Governor Peter Mba said no to sit at home. That was around June 2023. He stopped to sit at home. As soon as he resumed office. So of course, this should boost that insecurity, fight against insecurity in the state. But I'd like you to tell us more about that.
Okay. Well, what I know about the command and control center is that from that point, anything happening in and around Enugu Metropolis can be monitored in a manner that can prevent crime or at least apprehend perpetrators as soon as they are committing this crime. I won't say more than because it's security infrastructure, so that I do not begin to give assailant, clues as to how it works. But that's just the idea. So it means as it stands today, Enugu is under 24-hour surveillance. Now those vehicles are not just ordinary vehicles. They are now equipped with high-tech equipment that can coordinate activities out of the command and control center in order to keep Enugu safe. Without security, everything you are doing will become nothing. So with security, if Enugu today becomes even more secure than it is today, and becomes so secure that it can host any event in the country, with infrastructural works going on, and that event center that has just been commissioned or about to be commissioned, it means people from all over the world will feel so safe as to come to Enugu to transact their businesses and to do all the activities that they didn't face in that city. So these are activities that will continue to grow the economy, along with the vision of the governor of creating a $30 billion plus economy, GDP, out of Enugu. So you see, he's laying the critical building blocks towards achieving his vision. It's good for you to have a vision. When you have a vision, you can now match it with a mission to accomplish that vision. That's what I see playing out in Enugu.
I'm also concerned about maintenance culture. One major thing that, usually breaks down or reduces the lifespan of infrastructure, especially here in Nigeria, is the lack of maintenance culture. What are the measures put in place to ensure that this is, well maintained, and to ensure that they have some, they have long lifespan?
Okay, first, Peter Mba came in from the private sector. He was the leader of one of the biggest oil and gas industry companies in this country. And I want to believe that, from what I've seen too, he's going to bring the same culture of efficiency and maintenance and discipline into governance. Because without that, he won't be able to achieve this much, as we're seeing already. So I want to believe that, as somebody who has been there, he knows better than you and I than to put in place an efficient structure that will ensure maintenance of this humongous investment is making. So I want to believe that for somebody who's going to put this down, I am sure and I believe that there would have been plans in place to ensure maintenance of facilities for sustainability and future usage. So I want to believe that is in place. But even that's not in place, this forum is like a feedback mechanism for those that are watching us to know that you cannot do this without putting in place adequate plans for maintenance in order to make sure that you achieve sustainability of the utility of some of these facilities you've put in place.
And it's a very beautiful picture, like what we see on the screen right there. And
the goal is ample parking space, and so
yes, which is of
convenient.
course, which would of course take me to the conversation about the 90 completed urban roads in Enugu City, symbolically somewhere in a town close to the government house. Tell us more about that.
In fact, the complaint we had in Enugu for some time now is that Enugu has been turned into a construction site that has even disrupted some business activities. There's this aggressive road reconstruction going on in Enugu metropolis. I think the governor is in a hurry to transform Enugu into a 21st century town or city that is comparable to any other one in Africa because of his vision. So he believes that infrastructure is critical to spurring the economic development of the state. And indeed, if you look at the geographic location of Enugu, if the infrastructure is improved much more than this, as we are seeing already, it is going to spur economic activities in the state. It's going to attract investments. It's going to attract, businesses to move into that state because of the convenience of logistics, the convenience of running businesses, the convenience of having a secured environment. All of this tied together is likely going to attract the much needed investments and businesses that will indeed transform that economy into a mega one. So, as for road construction, even the blind can see it in Enugu because it is going on simultaneously all over the city center in such a manner that when it started, it was so disruptive. I was in Enugu at that time. It was such a disruption that we were wondering, what is really happening? But thank God today, we've seen that come to conclusion in some places, and Enugu has taken a new look. Enugu has always been a beautiful town. Enugu has always been blessed with succession of good leaders. And Mba seems to be the icing on the cake so far. So we hope and pray that this giant stride is sustained and doesn't get distorted by partisan politics.
And I hope that it won't just be concentrated in the urban areas, that the rural areas will also get a feel of the developments.
I want to believe and hope that what we are seeing in the urban centers will filter into the rural areas as well.
Now, let's talk about revenue. You know, every state has to work on, boosting their IGR and ensure that whatever they're putting in, they're getting a commensurate return on it. Are there ways, or how do you see the state generating revenue from all of this infrastructure being commissioned?
Okay.
All right, before you answer that question, let's take a break. We will be back to continue with of course, we're going live now to Enugu State, to where President Tinubu is commissioning those projects.
Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are here again to welcome you to our soil and to continue to thank you. We cannot thank you enough for this honor. The whole of Enugu State, and indeed, by extension, the people of the Southeast are indeed grateful to have you in our soil. We say thank you so much. It is on that note that I also want to invite Your Excellency to formally commission this iconic edifice, International Conference Center. But Your Excellency, this is not just a conference center. It is facilities that spans to meetings, restaurants, cinemas, shops. We have over 50 shops here and other pastime activities, including recreational activities. So it is a community of activity center. We're here today to commission, and it is our honor to invite Your Excellency to formally commission this building for us. Thank you.
To my friends, the governors here present, particularly those from southeastern states, the honorable members of the House of Rep, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me mention Peter Unveils for his invitation. I wish you all happy New Year. I am greatly honored. I feel at home being here in Enugu. I am happy that we are seeing development. We are seeing the future of Nigeria. Giving hope from elementary school, not just only on kindergarten. We are seeing technology at work. We are seeing road construction, infrastructural development to ensure economic growth. I am happy that we share a lot in common. For whatever is the pain that we go through in the past 18 months is now beginning to yield good results. Part of evidence of this is here we are commissioning multi-purpose center for economic, business, opportunity, growth, and sustainable development of one of our very historic states. May God bless Enugu State. This international conference center. The international conference
As we know, and then inside, maybe they enjoy here. You're calling me, I'm running. I will answer for anywhere. We can proceed to government. Yeah, we can proceed to government. But that vehicle has just those.
All right, you just watched live pictures from Enugu State, where President Bola Tinubu is commissioning key projects, including the 30 completed and equipped Enugu Smart Growing Schools. He's also commissioning completed multi-auditorium and multifunctional Enugu International Conference Center, as well as 90 completed urban roads in Enugu City, symbolically somewhere in town close to the government house, as well as state-of-the-art command and control center, 150 patrol vehicles fitted with AI-embedded surveillance cameras at the government house. And dignitaries, including governors, ministers, NSA Nuhu Ribadu, and other top government officials were present right there as the president unveiled the completed project. And still with us in the studio is Dahiru talking to us about these completed projects. Let's look at revenue. You know, before we went to the live event, we were talking about revenue being generated from some of these projects. So I'd like to hear more of that.
It's a very important question you asked. You know, sometimes when we talk about revenues in Nigeria, we think of taxation and levies. And I have always advocated for investment in enterprise that can bring in revenue other than taxes and levies so that people have some breather. And the Enugu State Governor seems to just be doing that. Again, I think Peter Man means business in the governance of Enugu. So one of the things he's done so far is that he has revived the palm plantation, the state-owned palm plantation in Enugu, one of the largest in Africa, with potentials to put Enugu on the map of oil palm exporting entities. And he has been able to attract $100 billion investment, $100 billion naira investment into that palm plantation. So anytime from now, we'll begin to hear some good news from there, which will go a long way to boost revenues through that state-owned enterprise. He has also started the revitalization of Niger Gas Company, a gas company that was owned by Enugu State Government that has gone moribund. They are beginning to revive it so that it can go into full business. He has also started the rehabilitation of the Presidential Hotel that is in the heart of Enugu, so that with that also it can benefit from the traffic that will likely be attracted to Enugu based on these developments we are seeing today. And most importantly, in the 2025 budget, Governor Ba has actually proposed the establishment of an Enugu state-owned airline, just like you have Ibom Air that belongs to Ibom. Yes. So, and these are the kind of things we want to see at the subnationals, where state governments are involved in the means of production, taking advantage of whatever endowments they may have to generate externally revenues, not internally generated revenues, that is focused on taxations and levies. But when you have enterprises that are run efficiently, they will not generate revenue for you externally. So the gas that they're going to produce in Enugu will be sold both within Nigeria, outside of the state, or exported. It will bring in revenues for the state. When you go to Enugu and you stay in Presidential Hotel, you are paying to the cost of Enugu State government. When you fly their airline, it's the same thing. So I think this man actually means, I think his mission to transform Enugu into a mega economy, I think is on course really. And it's something that is quite commendable and worthy of emulation by other states.
Interesting, because of course when you look at what the passion and the enthusiasm he came into the year with, especially during his New Year's speech. You could see a lot of vigor when he talked about how they're not going back. You know, when you look at Enugu State, you expect that with all of these promises and many of the things he has said that he would do and that they are already doing in the state, that the people of the state should begin to experience some relief in terms of commuting, with the roads that have been fixed and all of the issues with, you know, when it comes to commerce in the state. But I'd like you to talk more on what this, the role that this infrastructure, especially the roads, would play in boosting commerce, boosting FDIs, that's foreign direct investment in the state, and also attracting investors to the state.
Every investor wants to go to, one, a place with adequate security of lives and property. An investor also wants to go to a place that has the enabling infrastructure for his or her businesses. An investor, most importantly, also wants to go to an empowered state where you have high purchasing power. And, well, even though we still think it's not very adequate, but at 80,000 a month minimum wage for the workforce, and with the level of infrastructure that we are seeing in and around the Enugu metropolis, and of course some link roads between the rural areas, the agricultural belt of the state and the city center, as well as all other, efforts being made to make sure that Enugu actually attracts the right caliber of investment, I think investors' confidence might just be restored in Enugu, and we're likely to see an inflow. If already they are beginning to sign a lot of MOUs with prospective investors from both within and outside the country. But as soon as this becomes a reality, as it is already becoming a reality, it will come naturally. People will simply move into wherever it is that they have all of the enablers for their businesses. And from what we are seeing, Enugu State government seems to be enhancing those enablers enough to attract this investment. So I believe and I hope that if this effort is sustained, in no time, Enugu might now become a hub for business activities, ranging from oil and gas to entertainment, to housing. There's just so many potentials left untapped in Enugu that this investment is likely going to unlock.
But let's also look into the education sector. We know that when it comes to out-of-school children, we're not doing very well. They're generally in Nigeria. Yes. What role do you see these educational infrastructures, the schools, the green schools, would play in reducing the number of out-of-school children in Enugu State?
Thankfully, unlike in some parts of Nigeria, Enugu does not have a cultural problem against education, or a cultural impediment, or a religious one at that, against education. So an average Enugu child or parents is so willing to embrace education and send their wards to school. But I think the militating factor has been absence of quality or qualitative public education that is equally affordable. That is quantitative and qualitative public educational system that will enable people to bring their wards to school. So they have to rely on private schools that are somehow, outside of the reach of an average urban city dweller. So but with these public schools that are definitely going to be subsidized for the people, because the nature of public school is that it is always lower in terms of tuition, I want to believe that it will encourage people now to enroll their children in these schools. Before now, the public school education in Nigeria seems to have collapsed. I mean, you as a parent, you will feel guilty taking your child to a public school, thinking that it's a sign of neglect or even child abuse, if you ask me. But with what we've seen, it's going to now encourage parents to willingly take their children and enroll them in public schools. And with that, it will reduce whatever is left of out-of-school children in these areas. And if the government can go a stretch further to make a law, like has been done in Abia State, where primary and secondary school is compulsory. And any parent that refuses to enroll their wards in school can be held liable. That will also help. I think that should be a law across the country, where primary and secondary school is compulsory, because education is not just for your own well-being. It's for the well-being of the society. So you need to be educated enough not to create a nuisance into the society. So I think if they can go along with that enabling law to say, look, we've provided schools now, and these schools are affordable. You can see the beautiful schools, you can see the infrastructure. And that these schools you must attend mandatorily. I think that will be a long way to now resolve whatever is left of their own problems of out-of-school children, which I think is low at the moment.
All right, very, very, very salient points there. We'll now cross the live back to Enugu State, where President Tinubu is still commissioning key projects in the state.
Ladies and gentlemen, we announce the arrival of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the most important man in Africa, by every measure. Let me also welcome all the dignitaries that have come with him. We're glad to have you in Enugu State, where we have, thank you. Here comes Jagaban. Welcome, Your Excellency, distinguished Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We're glad to have you. Your host, the Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Ndubisimba, will now play the necessary role as the host.
Your Excellency, sir.
Your Excellency, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are truly delighted to welcome you once again to Enugu, and we cannot express enough our gratitude for this honor. This is now the 4th location. We know how tight your schedules are. What's more, at this time of the year, the competing demands of your time. But to demonstrate the love you have for the people of Enugu, you elected at this very critical time the first activity of the year to come to Enugu to honor us with your presence and to commission our project. We cannot thank you enough, Mr. President. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, it is indeed my honor and privilege to invite you once again to commission this Command and Control Center, a center that is designed to help us respond and to fight crime, nip it in the bud with the 21st century technology, with all the AI and thermal equipment. Your Excellency, this building, as you will soon see inside, has given us the confidence and the conviction that we can stay here and deal with the criminal gangs that are terrorizing our people. And so we have reason to be able to attract investors and have them come here and invest. Once again, it is my honor to call on Your Excellency to please do us the honor to commission this Command and Control Center.
Your Excellency, once again, it's a great honor for me to be in Enugu. And I say once again, Happy New Year to everyone. It is a joy, and I feel relaxed and at home with you. It's an homecoming for me. This is a serious demonstration of what we can do together, what we can build together. And this has reassured me the fact that more revenue going to subnational and local government is not to waste, it's to develop. And when we have characters and committed leaders like Peter Odubusiba, taking Enugu on the path of 21st century development, greater heights, building our tomorrow today, I cannot forget the sight of those small children that I just met in a green 21st century school. We're going further. We commissioned the infrastructural development. We went to the multi-purpose hall. And here we are, commissioning the investment in security that we bring about rapid development I could see the vehicles, gadgets with 21st century technology. Yes, you indeed are planning for today, tomorrow, and the future of Enugu. You are a good thinker, but you're my friend. We can go places together. Working in harmony.
His Excellency.
Building Nigeria, building the future. It is audacious to have this hole filled with technology and be ready for use to promote investment. One thing we all know, you are a private sector person. We must encourage more private sector to come into politics and do what is right. And I thank you very much. I say investment is very cowardly. They run away from trouble. And when you are assured security, development, and give value for their money, they'll be your friend. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this work that you've done today. We are grateful indeed.
The command and control center government house, Enugu, commissioned by His Excellency Bola Ahmed, ECFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, under the administration of His Excellency Dr. Peter on the privilege Doctor of Enugu State on this day, January 4th, 2025.
Welcome back. We've been with President Bola Tinubu right there in Enugu, of course, commissioning different projects, key projects in the state. And the one you just watched was the commissioning of the state-of-the-art command and control center with 150 patrol vehicles fitted with AI-embedded surveillance cameras at the government house, which, according to the governor, will help the government respond to and fight crime effectively. And during the commissioning, the president noted that the projects are a serious demonstration of what both state and the federal government can do together, and an assurance that the revenues going to the subnationals are used judiciously. And earlier, the president commissioned the completed multi-auditorium and multifunctional Enugu International Conference Center. Still with us in the studio is Majid Dahiru, who is a newspaper columnist and public affairs analyst, talking to us about all of these beautiful projects being commissioned in Enugu State. Let's take a cue from what President Tinubu said, saying that this is an indication that both state and federal governments can work together. It doesn't have to be, dirty politics. They can work together to improve infrastructure and make governance being felt by the people of the state. And he also talked about the fact that this shows that all of the monies, the allocations going to the state are being used effectively. What are your thoughts on that?
It must be a very big relief for the president, actually. He removed subsidy from petrol and also floated the exchange rate. It came with a lot of negative effect. Some of us criticized him bitterly for that. I still think that wasn't the right policy. But on the flip side, he's now...
the timing, too. Some people spoke about the timing.
I don't even believe that. That's the talk for another day anyway.
Yeah, of course.
But what he's now saying is, look, what I promised will come with this policy is more resources for state for development. And I think the Enugu state governor seems to have given the president a reason to believe in his own ideas the more, and to double down to say, look, my policies were right after all. Look what's happening in this state. And if other states are able to apply the resources available to them now, we're going to see this across the country. So he has the governor of Enugu to thank for bringing to fruition in a certain way the positive sides of his economic reforms.
I mean, you could see the excitement the president was, expressing.
Actually, this is a phenomenal day for both the president and for the people of Enugu State. I mean, just look at the command and control center, look at the AI-powered vehicles that are synchronized with it. That is first of its kind in Nigeria.
150.
First of its kind. I mean, other governors are buying patrol vehicles. But somebody has taken it a notch higher by fitting it with 21st century, up-to-date contemporary technology, which is really required to detect, prevent, and to pin down criminals. So this is the first of its kind. So it is really, I'm sure the president himself must be wondering, how is this person able to think so futuristically? And why he said he needed more people like him from the private sector.
Exactly. I was coming to
politics.
that. Yes. I was coming to that. What do you think about that statement that we need more people from the private sector to now come into governance, come into politics? So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's good. For me, governance is too serious a business to be left to just politicians. Governance is about development. It's about providing welfare and security for citizens. So I think that people of impeccable character, people of integrity, they can be drawn from the technocratic class, they can be from even the so-called class of politicians. But most importantly, we need the management skills of those who have been able to manage at least a business successfully. To also come in and manage public resources. So what you've seen in Enugu is, Peter Ma was able to manage and nurture a business into a multi-billion-naira conglomerate. And he has brought in that managerial skill into the public sector by transforming Enugu into a business enterprise of some sort. So you can safely qualify Enugu today as Enugu State Incorporated and Peter Mba as its CEO. And that is what modern nations should be actually. You see, in the modern world, nation states essentially are like incorporated entities that are competing for global resources through quality service delivery. And the political leadership of such entities are actually like CEOs too, of such incorporated entities. So, for example, President Donald Trump is about to become the CEO of America Incorporated. The British Prime Minister is, Keir Starmer is the CEO of United Kingdom Incorporated. Macron is the CEO of France Incorporated. So, Peter Mas become the CEO of Enugu State Incorporated. We want to see this replicated across the country. Governance is a very serious business. And so he's putting every kobo, he's prioritizing it into key areas of state development, ranging from security, education, rural and urban road infrastructure, healthcare, and so many other areas. So these are the fundamentals of state development. So you can agree with me that so far so good. Peter Mas seems to be fulfilling that primary responsibility of government, which is to provide welfare and security for citizens. And this is what the president is trying to commend. Because if the 36 states of the Federation are a miniature Enugu states in this respect, I'm sure the problem of crime, insecurity, problem of poverty, underdevelopment will have been reduced almost by 70%.
And also the issue of out-of-school children would reduce drastically.
I think schools, let me use the point to say this, schools in the north, state governments of the north, I think should take a cue from Enugu state government. We need to see modern, qualitative, as well as quantitative access to public education. And they should make enabling laws in their states to compel parents to send their children to schools at primary and secondary school level. And if you fail to do that, it should be punishable by the state. Because this is not for the purpose of that child's individual education alone. It's for the societal well-being.
But isn't that included in the Child Rights Act?
Not all states have domesticated it.
Yes, we know that. But I'm saying that even the states that have domesticated it, how many face consequences for not...
So we need enforcement. We need enforcement of laws because the out-of-school children menace seems to be growing, it's increasing. And this is Nigeria. This is the 21st century. I do not imagine that Nigeria should still be talking about out-of-school children at this level of our development. So something has to be done about that. Taking a cue from what has happened in Enugu State. I mean, I'm excited because this man is taking this state into the future today.
Do you think that perhaps what is also contributing to President Tinubu's excitement? Because he has also been in that position before as someone who managed Lagos State.
So he appreciates, he knows, it's when he sees a goal that is performing, he knows. He knows that it takes a lot of discipline, financial discipline, sacrifice, decency for a man to deliver this much in just a year and 8 months. He knows. Instinctively, he could see that this is a performing governor. He's been a governor before.
Okay, so
a president.
You know, looking at the AI-powered vehicles, some concerns that some analysts may look at might be the fact that wouldn't this be giving some kind of cue to the crime perpetrators in the state? Okay. Now they know, oh, these vehicles are AI-powered, and then we need to take our, our plans and strategies one step higher than that. Now that
we are sure, now that the Enugu State government has demonstrated its capabilities to actually provide a comprehensive security architecture in the state that can prevent and punish crime, I think going forward in the future, because there will be need for upgrade of some of these facilities, I think it should be done off the screen. We shouldn't see, I don't want, for me, for security reasons, even the command and control center should not be displayed to the public anymore. And the AI-powered vehicles should be downplayed because that element of surprise is required to indeed punish crime. But let us assume that this will serve as a deterrent for now. Okay. To say, look, we are ready for you. Our eyes are all over. We are seeing you. But I'm saying now that this has been established as a fact, that Enugu has indeed evolved or designed a security architecture that is adequate to man and survey the entire state. In fact, the entire state is under surveillance from the command and control center. Future investment or upgrade in this facility should be treated as a security matter that is outside of the public view. Yes, it's very essential.
And looking at the fact that this has, of course, impressed the president from what we see, and has shown that all of the revenues or the allocations going to the states are being put to good use. Do you see some form of, increase in allocation or some form of boost or encouragement to motivate the president, or rather the governor?
The president cannot unilaterally, increase allocation to Enugu. It has to go through the institutional
National
bodies,
Assembly and all of that.
The Revenue Mobilization African Commission. So that is outside of the purview of the president. But what can happen is this. There are areas of collaboration between the states and federal governments. There could be joint venture investments. So what has happened is that the president right now has confidence enough in the leadership of Enugu State to take a serious look at any proposition coming from the state for collaboration and joint venture arrangements towards the development of the state. And so we develop Enugu, we are developing Nigeria. So you're helping the president to do this work. For every kilometer of road you construct in Enugu, you're helping the president. It counts for the number, for the distance or the stretch of that roads in Nigeria under President Tinubu's administration. For every life of property you secure in Enugu, it counts for the president. If this arrangement is able to reduce crime in Enugu and environs, it means under President Tinubu's time, crime rate has reduced. So he has seen enough on ground. So seeing is believing. Now to now take Enugu as a strategic partner in national development. So whatever proposition, whatever ideas the Enugu State government may have now, I can assure you that with what I've seen, the president will be very willing and eager to collaborate in areas that can help the improvement and to further what we are seeing on ground today. So I think the government may have just earned the man's trust, which is key, the man's confidence that, look, I can do deals with this man. I can collaborate with this man to develop Enugu and by implication, that part of Nigeria.
And let's also not forget that this will boost economic activities in the state. And we would see more people, interested in going into business in the state. Let's look at SMEs and business owners. How do you think this will boost their businesses? The
influx of people into Enugu. For instance, if you look at that international conference, I'm particular about that international conference center. You see, Nigerians spend a lot of money sending people for conferences abroad because of lack of facilities at home. Now, if you look at Enugu very well, Enugu is an eco-friendly city with lush green vegetation, very neat, with friendly people. It is tourism friendly. Now, I envisage that MDAs, private sector players and all that, will now use Enugu rather than going abroad for some of their conferences, seminars, and meetings. Enugu will now be the hub for such activities in Nigeria, particularly in the southeast. When that happens, it means that for every visitor that comes to Enugu, the monies, the inflows in spendings for the people that go to stay through the hospitality industry will trickle down to SMEs that provide the necessary services for their stay in Enugu. And let me also say this. Nigeria today has emerged as a multi-billion-dollar entertainment powerhouse globally. We still lack decent venues for mega concerts in Nigeria. I'm hoping that Enugu, with a history too around entertainment, Nollywood has a branch in Enugu, for example. I hope and pray that this facility will now become a venue for concerts and other entertainment-related activities that can draw people to come to Enugu and with the concomitant economic effect in the state. Those are the revenue for the revenue will go to the state government. The pool of activities, I want to see this venue host high-profile entertainment events, musical awards, and so on and so forth, not just within Nigeria, but Africa-wide and global events, globally acclaimed events. When that begins to happen, the people of Enugu will feel the impact of the influx of people that will be coming for such events. And that's why I feel that this is a worthwhile investment. Enugu has a history around entertainment, so it is easy to simply key into this venue and continue that trajectory as a major host of entertainment, a part of the entertainment industry in Nigeria.
And of course, that would improve collaboration, because when we see the influx, it will also boost tourism.
Yes.
And looking at the state of infrastructure in the state, do you think that there are some measures in place to curb vandalism of these projects?
And that is why the Command and Control Center is there. All eyes are on everybody in Enugu. And I hope that this is sustained. the seriousness with which we've seen the governor put all these things in place, we need even more seriousness on his part to sustain them. If this is sustained, and with the cooperation of the citizens of Enugu, the residents of Enugu, I am sure that state will fulfill that vision of being a mega economy within the Nigerian Federation.
So generally, if you look at the mission or the vision of the governor of the state and how much he has achieved so far, what are your expectations in the coming years? This is, less than 2 years. He has achieved all of these projects. What do you envisage in the coming years? I
think the governor has also he has not shown any sign of slowing down. Again, if you look at the 2025 budget, it's similar to what we have in 2024. Yes, it has grown in volume, but the template remains the same. 33% again was allocated to education, and over 80% was allocated to capital projects, meaning we're going to see a reenactment of some sort of what we've seen in the past one year and 8 months in the coming year. So the fiscal plan also clearly shows that they're not relenting. They're going to expand on what you're already seeing in terms of road infrastructure, in terms of public school system, in terms of healthcare, in terms of security. So meaning that you're likely going to see procurement of more vehicles for security. You're going to see improvement and upskilling of activities in that command and control center, all of which is in that budget, plus a proposal to set up an airline that is owned by the state government. So I don't think they are relenting at all. And I'm sure with this pat on the back by the president, that will spur the governor to do more for the state, because when somebody does well and you actually commend them, they will do better.
They will do better indeed. And, one of the things that the governor mentioned during his speech was that many times when people talk about all of this infrastructure, saying that they're going to, make life better for the people of the state, most times they renege on all of these promises. What do you think motivated Governor Umba to continue to put in place all of this infrastructure to make life better for the people of the state? As promised during his
campaign. I think it's a personal decision to be a responsible leader. It's a decision. You see, leadership is a decision. When you've decided to be good to your people, you will actually be good. You have all the enablers to ensure that. So I think it's a personal decision he has taken. It's like a covenant between himself and his God and the people to say, look, I intend to fulfill my campaign promises. And he's doing that incrementally. So it is a personal decision he has taken. And that is why we need to give him kudos, because we've seen time and again where people make such promises and they never fulfill them. But for somebody who is working hard and seems to be in a hurry to fulfill all of his promises within the first 4 years of his first term, it tells you that he has taken the decision to pay fidelity to the social contract he entered into with the people, upon which he was elected. And that social contract was captured in his manifesto. Again, if you go through his campaign promises, everything is built, everything is done today that's been commissioned. We are all contained in his manifesto, word for word. And so it tells you that he has taken that decision, and that is the quality of leadership we want in this country. That is a true definition of leadership integrity. To make a promise and fulfill it, and to do that which you say. So I think on that score, we can give a lot of commendation, because it is not the norm in Nigeria.
Indeed, not a norm. But perhaps if we have institutions that can put our public office holders on their toes, and to always check that they carry out those campaign promises that they give before they get into office, perhaps we would see more performances from them, like we see from Enugu State Governor, don't you think?
I will also tell you something about developing democracies like Nigeria. You will require the executive to lead by example in this regard. You see, for institutions to be strong, to be strengthened, it will require the executive, which has the powers of impunity, which has the power to disrupt constitutionalism. It will take the discipline of the executive branch of government to deliberately ensure the rule of law is enthroned, and as institutions are given the right enablers to be strengthened. So meaning a lot still depends on leadership. And it is when you have succession of such integrity-based leadership that over time institutions of a country would have been said to have been strengthened to a level where it cannot be easily reversed. However, you can take one bad leader, just one devilish leader, to reverse all of the gains of 200 years. It's possible. But you require a succession of very responsible leaders who will forgo their privilege of impunity, of corruption, of infidelity, and submit to the rule of law, and submit to checks and balances by institutions, the judiciary, the legislature, and other regulatory frameworks in place. It will take that discipline by that individual leader to show an example. People often point to America and talk about strong institutions. It has a history. America was lucky to have their pioneer president, George Washington. Whatever you see today at this presidential tradition in America, George Washington actually lived through it, led by that example, including his limitation to 2 terms in office. Before then, there was no limit. There was no term limit to American presidency. But on his own, despite being the man who led the war for independence, he limited himself to just 2 terms as a show of leadership. And he subjected himself right from the beginning to the scrutiny, to the checks and balances of the legislature and the judiciary. And as president, he remained apolitical. His historians are still divided today as to the political party or the leaning. Then there was no formal political party, there were leanings that George Washington belongs to, because he led in a bipartisan manner for the good of America. And successive leaders have tried to maintain that tradition. And over the years, it has become the norm. It has become normalized. But in Nigeria, we've not really gotten that right. Our leaders are still used to impunity. They are not willing to commit class suicide and forgo their privilege of impunity. So it will take a long while to have succession of leaders that are willing to allow institutions to work, even if it's against their personal interest. But for the interest of the nation, they will allow it to work for posterity's sake. When you have a succession of such leaders, Nigeria cannot join the league of countries where institutions are strong enough to actually hold that account.
So indeed, you're already looking at an ideal situation where we have institutions that are backed up by laws that are effective, because we have a lot of laws, but when it comes to their effectiveness, that's where the loopholes
Because the executive branch of government is supposed to uphold the effectiveness of the law, undermines the law more often than not. So that's why it's important to have a man of integrity at the executive branch that can pay absolute fidelity to constitutionalism and the rule of law, even to the detriment of his political party or personal interest or his ethnicity or religion. When you have that in a succession of leadership over time, in fact, you now have Nigerians that are born into a country where things work, so they cannot collectively resist it when somebody tries to reverse it. But so far, between 1999 and today, we've not been fortunate to have a consistency of that kind of leader, quality of leadership, both at the center and the subnational levels. And that's why Nigeria is still a country that is largely run on impunity. However, when we see signs where political leadership at any level, particularly at the executive branch, tries to do some of these things we're talking about, we rush to commend them. You know why? For them to be incentivized to do more. For them to know that if you do, no matter the little good you do, you are commended. It gains you political mileage. What the man has done today has gained him some political mileage. I am here talking about it and giving the positive review. It is to make him to do more. To know that, look, there is a lot of good in doing good as a politician. If you do good, if you construct all the road in Enugu, you build all the private healthcare across the state adequately to provide for the welfare of citizens, you don't need to campaign so much to win a re-election.
True. But of course, we know that there are a lot of factors that play when it comes to elections in Nigeria.
But honestly, if you are good, if you deliver, you win election in Nigeria without spending money. I'll give you 2 examples in history. This is Lagos State. The legacy of Alhaji Lateef Jakonde endures still today. As I was driving to this place, I was just saying Jakonde Estate, Jakonde Schools, left, right, center. Jakonde was one governor who won his re-election in 1983 with a wider margin than he won his first election because of his performance. Nigerians reward good leaders. And leaders should know that it is very easy, it is more affordable, it is cheaper to simply do good as either a governor or as a president. You get re-elected overwhelmingly without anybody asking why. But when you do not do good, it's when you now struggle against adversaries, against those factors I'm talking about. But when you deliver, Nigerians will rally around you. It is just in our nature. We appreciate good things. We are good people. So we appreciate good leadership. But when you do not do well, then we will leave you to your own vices and you and your colleagues there in the market of Nigerian politics. But when you deliver sincerely, honestly, you will be rewarded by Nigerian people overwhelmingly. They will vote for you for free and contribute to your election funding. We've seen it happen.
Do you think we're migrating towards a system that naturally rewards people for their good acts, especially those in public offices, and not a system that incentivizes all of these things that should come naturally. For instance, a governor builds roads. It should be, yes, applauded, but it shouldn't be something that you know, comes as news or something that comes as a new thing. It should be consistent with its primary responsibility. Exactly, right? As a responsibility of the government.
When you've had a succession of roguish leadership that go into power, squander money, embezzle money, and do not deliver on basic responsibilities as road construction, when you now have a governor that's constructing roads, you have to commend the governor. So that others will see that, look, this is worthy of commendation. This person is writing his name in gold, so why not just do the same thing? So what we are doing is trying to encourage the person that's already doing this one to continue on this path, because it is praiseworthy. So that others that are seeing him will now want to do more. I'll give you an example. When the minimum wage issue was being discussed, a number of states were reluctant to pay or to announce the position of the new minimum wage. Until a state like Kogi, for example, announced 72,500 naira minimum wage. I'm sure it embarrassed other states to say, what? You mean Governor Dodo can pay 72,500 naira minimum wage per month? And what did we see? Almost every state in the country announcing 75,000, 80,000, 85,000. There was now a competition to earn this public approval of, governors have started paying the minimum wage. And today, most of the states today actually pay the new minimum wage. Even though we still feel it's not adequate, but at least we saw how a few governors that people believe will not be able to pay announced it, and everybody started following suit. So we are saying, what we are seeing in Enugu today should spur the governors to do something similar or more in order to earn this favorable public ratings of their performance. As a politician, what you need, your asset, your major capital going to politics is the people. And it is easier for you to get them to vote for you without spending a dime at the polling unit if you deliver. Once you deliver on your mandate, the Nigerian people, by their nature, will form a wall around you. You'll be powerful, you'll be influential, you'll be popular. That even your adversaries cannot turn against you because they'll be afraid of the people. The fear of the people power around you will not even make them able to do so. In the last presidential election, we saw something like that play out too. Because of the track record of a man called Mr. P2B in Anambra State, track record of many years ago, you saw how a group of Nigerians, adults, elderly, youths, men, women, Muslims, Christians, Northern and Southern, came together, contributed money for their rallies, for their road shows, refused to collect money from establishment parties, went to the polling unit, and delivered major cities, Lagos inclusive, Abuja inclusive, to the candidate of a fringe party like Labour Party. It tells you how far Nigerians appreciate whatever they deem to be good governance or good leadership. So this should incentivize people to do more. This is the easiest part to it. You have the money. You're not using your personal money. Use public money for public good, and you get the reward.
Indeed, use public money for public good, and of course that's what we're seeing. And we hope, as you said, we hope that this would be emulated by other governors in all the states of Nigeria. And Governor Peter Mba, of course, coming into office from the private sector. I'd like to know if you think that, is it because he is coming from the private sector or a combination of that heart to want to, do the bidding of the people or make life better for the people, and that fact that he's coming from the private sector, or is it a combination of both, or just the fact that he's coming from the private sector and he knows how businesses should be managed? Because if you say it's because it's coming from the private sector, if every public office holder comes from the private sector, then who would be in the private sector?
So I think it's a combination of both. Like I said earlier, there are career politicians that have done exactly what Mba is doing and even more. There are career technocrats that have done the same. There are people in the private sector that have actually done something like as he's doing. There are also people in the private sector that have actually done so poorly in governance.
Exactly.
That have come into governance to simply enrich their private enterprise through state capture. We've seen it. So being from the private sector is not necessarily a magic, a silver bullet or a magic wand. However, what this simply tells you is that sometimes it is good to have somebody who has managed an entity. Because we have a preponderance of career politicians in Nigeria that are not ideologically driven. Preponderance. I mean, it's about power grab for self-service. They've been used to that system. So they do not know how to create wealth or create value in governance. And that is why this conversation becomes relevant. However, it's a combination of both. I think ultimately Mba has taken a decision to serve his people. It's a decision he took before he ventured into politics at this level. And once he became governor, he's demonstrating that willingness to serve the people as promised during his electioneering campaign.
Well, I would hope that, more of this happens, because it's not just about starting, it's about also sustaining what you've already started.
Yes.
Would definitely look forward to that in Enugu State. We'll take a break now, and then we'll continue this conversation with public affairs analyst Majid the Hero. Of course, we're throwing to the live event in Enugu State, where President Tinubu is arriving at the stakeholders meeting right there in the state.
The national anthem, please. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, let's be seated, please. Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR. Let me welcome the hardworking, pragmatic governor of Enugu State. I'd like to welcome here the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu. We have in our midst, very blessed, with two former Senate presidents. I'd like to welcome here His Excellency Ken Namani and His Excellency Ayin Pius Ayin. The new past governor of the state, His Excellency Fanny Wang, is also here with us. Let me welcome Chief Arthur, a pride to Southeast and a pride to Nigeria. Our royal father is here, the pure furniture. I'd like to welcome all of you, service chiefs that are here, the Inspector General of Police, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome all of you to these stakeholders engagement. 2 days, 2 years are quite significant for me as I'm here in Enugu State. One is 1809, when Europeans discovered coal in commercial quantity that gave this state the coal city name. And the other is 1991, when Enugu State for coming here. And I'd like to welcome all of you, the service that are here. I think the government is General Police, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Well, can we put our hands together? All of you. So without much ado, I understand the time left for us to do this very short. So without much ado, I will be taking the microphone to His Excellency, the Governor of the State, who will be formally welcoming us. But let me also welcome here my brother, Tinubu. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Welcome to Enugu now. The Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Your Excellencies, my colleagues, Governor of Abia State, Governor of Anambra, represented by the Deputy, the Speaker, Enugu State House of Assembly, the Chief Judge of Enugu State, our leaders, former governors that are here, ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our own, the Minister of Works, we welcome you to Enugu, your hometown. The National Security Advisor with us, the Inspector General of Police, welcome you to Enugu. The Senior Special Advisors to the President and the Special Advisors to the President that are here, former Senate President, distinguished Senator Ken Nnamani, the Deputy Speakers and other members of the House of Assembly that are here, also our National Assembly members, senators, and House of Reps members that are here, local government chairmen, members of the State Executive Council, former ministers that are here with us, former ambassadors, permanent secretaries, senior special advisors, and senior special assistants to the governor of Enugu State, captains of industry, our own Prince Eze Ozibondu, we welcome you. Our revered traditional rulers, the Obi of Onitsha, that is here with us. Thank you very much for coming. We welcome you. Ndi Enugu, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As a city founded 115 years ago, Enugu has played host to countless historic occasions and visits by dignitaries from across the world. But this visit clearly represents a major highlight in Enugu's illustrious history. Your visit today is going to remain indelible in the annals of our history. Your Excellency, the honor that your visit connotes isn't simply borne by my government. It is an honor that the entire state, I dare say the entire Southeast, will cherish for a long time. It is an honor that draws an effusive us. So we say a very big thank you and a warm welcome to Enugu State, Your Excellency. Your presence here today is also an opportunity for us to heartily commend you for signing the Southeast Development Commission Bill into law. We are particularly delighted because besides infrastructural revamp and tackling peculiar ecological challenges in the Southeast, this commission will complement the many development strides unfolding across Enugu State. Just a few days ago, Your Excellency, you were announced by this day Board of Editors as the Man of the Year. This is a fitting honor that speaks to your steely determination to put our dear country back to the path of steady growth. Congratulations, Mr. President. Your Excellency, your credential as a true federalist stands out brightly, and the legacies thereof will for long earn you resounding accolades. In signing the Electricity Act, you liberalized electricity generation, transmission, and distribution. That singular act will always rank as an enduring legacy. It is noteworthy that Enugu State was the first subnational to which regulatory oversight of the local electricity market was ceded. That's a reflection of how swiftly we are pursuing the goals we have set for ourselves. Our dreams may be grand, but by no means grandiose. Our goals include growing our economy from the current levels we met it of $4.4 billion to $30 billion. But we also recognized that a lot of the growth would come from private sector and that it would be government-enabled but private sector driven, and which was why we immediately set forth at dawn. We recognized the security challenges. When we assumed office, we had the illegal sit at home, that this was a situation where some gang of criminals would dictate to us the days of the week we should sit at home and the days of the week we should work. We did not find that acceptable or even excusable. So we immediately made very consequential pronouncements. And with the support and the unwavering commitment of the security agencies, the police, the DSS, the Army, Your Excellency, I'm pleased to announce that we no longer observe sit at home in Enugu. Our people go to work every day of the week, and we no longer take orders from non-state actors. And we have been through a number of projects which Your Excellency has graciously commissioned. A number of those projects are essentially connecting the dots for us to enable us realize our dream of growing the economy from the current levels of 4.4 billion to 30 billion. Our development model is one that it's all-encompassing and inclusive. It takes into account the weakest amongst us, and which is why in the smart school, the smart green school that Your Excellency commissioned earlier today, it's being built across the 260 electoral wards in Enugu State. We're also doing the same intervention in the healthcare space. But Your Excellency, all these infrastructural development are largely possible because of the bold initiatives you have taken, the courageous pronouncements you made in order to free up funds for development, the removal of fuel subsidy, the unification of the foreign exchange, and also a number of social interventions that your government continues to provide for the people of this country. We are now essentially, with those funds freed, able to fully complete these infrastructural projects. And it's not just fiscal infrastructure. They are both social infrastructure and digital infrastructure going on. So we thank you very much. I know the day is fast spent, and indeed we're honored that you were able to honor us with your presence to do this commissioning. I'm going to essentially yield the floor for our people who may have one or two things to say to you and invite you perhaps to respond. Thank you very much once again for coming. It is indeed our honor.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Governor of Enugu State. And like I just said, we have 3 people that will be speaking, hopefully for not more than 2 minutes apiece. And I'll be starting off with the former Honorable Minister for Power, Professor Tinubu. Let's appreciate him as he steps forward here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Your Excellency, we welcome you. I will be speaking about the Eastern Rail Line. Railway transportation is globally acknowledged as arguably the most cost-efficient mode of conveying bulky cargo and materials over medium and long distances. Hence, one must applaud your government for the dispatch with which this administration has approached the refurbishment of the Eastern Rail Line, running from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. We appreciate that. From the last update, however, Your Excellency, we received on this project the refurbishment of this rail line from Port Harcourt to Aba has been completed, and service was expected to commence. That is wonderful. However, this 1,443-kilometer Eastern Rail Line opens up access, unlimited access to the eastern half of the entire country, Nigeria, which will provide a much-needed boost to non-oil exports from the northeast, middle belt, the southeast, and the south-south. In line with this, Your Excellency, we appeal most humbly for Your Excellency to prioritize the completion of these remaining portions of this critical rail link to enable it to boost the economic growth both across the affected regions and also for the entire nation as a whole. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Professor Tinubu. Next, let me welcome here Onyemuche Namani.
Your Excellency, I will be speaking on the optimization of security strategies. Your Excellency, it is a well-known fact that security is key for the enthronement of peace, law, and order. It's also all of which are in turn critical for the encouragement of investment and economic growth. However, it is also critical that the right security strategies are put in place to avoid giving visitors and brothers in the diaspora the wrong impression that things are worse than they seem. These were some of the driving factors which motivated Enugu State to institute its ultra-modern statewide CCTV modern camera mounted on patrol cars, some of which we have commissioned today, including our modern command and control center. It was quite easy to convince our governor to invest billions of naira on security. After all, he took an oath of office that says security of life and property is the primary primary business of government. But at birth also, he had another mandate. At birth, his name is Ndubisi. Yes, let's see, you might not know the meaning of Ndubisi. Ndu is life. Buisi, Ndu is the head. Life is the head. Ndubisi. In other words, life is the most important thing. That's why it was quite easy to convince him to invest so much on security. And there's everything in a name. You recall a certain traditional ruler from Bogu came to you some time ago, so many years ago, and called you Jagaban, commander. Today, you are the commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, with the launch of these facilities, we are confident that there's less need for the traditional practice of mounting roadblocks at checkpoints. Checkpoints, in my view, have many drawbacks. Checkpoints and roadblocks. They make the movement of goods and persons very expensive, very inefficient, increase the cost of logistics, leading to high inflation. They tie down valuable security manpower. They needlessly expose the brave men and women of our security agencies to attacks by criminals of all guises, of various guises, as well as to other vagaries of the highways. In view of this, Your Excellency, we appeal to you to support Enugu State and the security agencies to de-emphasize the traditional practice of roadblocks, stop and search, and all that. Our people are really complaining about those things. It will be a great honor. It will be a great boost. When we say de-emphasize, what we mean is that we are providing alternatives. You have seen the patrol vans, you have seen the cameras mounted all over the state. So we have alternatives to all this. So we just want to de-emphasize this issue of stop and search and roadblocks. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. And then finally, let me welcome Mr. Chris Ngu. Mr. Chris Ngu, please. Is that him? 30 seconds already gone from your 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Your Excellency, sir, you're welcome to Enugu State. I will stand on existing protocols to just talk very briefly on the need to call attention to develop the Anambra Basin as an oil-bearing reserve that impacts on the entire southeast, different from the well-known Niger Delta. So we're saying that this reserve called Anambra Basin holds nothing less than 1 billion barrels of oil and about 30 billion cubic feet of gas. And like all of us know, the future is gas. And we know the emphasis the present government is placing on gas as for so many reasons. Power generation, as a feedstock to industries, in the plastic, petrochemicals. There are plenty that we can achieve by doing that. We had a lengthy presentation, but I understand there will be no time to go through that. So we're appealing to Your Excellency, please, to help call attention to this dormant energy reserve in the so-called Anambra Basin. For explanation purposes, Anambra Basin borders on the south and the Niger Delta, and then the Benue Trough, just like that. And further up, we have the Bida and the Sokoto. But amongst the whole basins, let me say this for emphasis, among the whole basins as a frontier exploration for oil and gas, Anambra Basin stands #1 in terms of performance, in terms of reserves, and in terms of attraction. So we're appealing to you, sir, to please use your good offices to energize this thing for the benefit of entire Southeast and even the Middle Belt. You know, Benue State is just here, and after Benue, the entire North Central energy just lying waste there. That's what we're appealing to you, Your Excellency, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The mantra of the Enugu State Governor is, tomorrow is here. Everything he does is futuristic, and that's actually taking a cue from what the president is doing for the country. He referred to it earlier by congratulating him as a This Day and Arise News Man of the Year, probably Nigeria's own Man of the Year. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd love to always call you the Man of Men. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's therefore my honor and pleasure to welcome looking resplendent in Ishiago and the red cap, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR.
Your Excellency, my very good friend, Governor of Enugu State, the other members of the executive governors who are present, and I could see our eminent traditional ruler who was once my neighbor in Victoria Island, Obi of Onitsha. It's good to have you, and you are looking well. I thank God for you. Thank God for your life. The members of the National Assembly are present, and the former presiding officers, honorable ministers are present. Let me just do justice to the protocol already established by the governor. He's a man who knows better. He sees tomorrow today. And he's doing a fantastic job. And my dear brothers, Alex Oti and the man who stitched democracy for us all to enjoy, to survive, our former Senate President. I can't forget that memorable time, and that time when a third time effort was killed. You didn't commit murder. You put life into freedom, sustenance, constitutional democracy, and happy. Our friend Atuesi, thank you for your generosity. Everything you've been doing for our family, for my friend. My wife gave me feedback of your contributions and everything, and it goes a long way to alleviate the problem of the needy, the vulnerable. And we appreciate who you are. Thank you. To former governor of Enugu State, thank you very much for, all the efforts, both in the past and the support that you have given to the present governor. I appreciate that. We won't forget you. You are our friend. The talent and the horn that got Oba, Peter Oba, you see, it shows so much of greatness of the Enugu State. No matter how much of our structure, concrete or metal, you build, without a good successor, you have gotten nothing. I'm glad Enugu has a very, very good tomorrow today. And I salute Peter Oba for his commitment to development. You built up a good team. I've reviewed a number of things with you in Abuja. You've encouraged me on the technological advancement of the state, the commitment you have from private sector. I know your background. The election is over. We have to move the nation forward. And you are demonstrating that commitment, irrevocable commitment to human development. I don't care which party you come from. My friend. So it's Alex Oti and many of you doing well, very focused. And it's not about the difference in languages and place of birth. No one of us has control of the mother tongue. You are created by God. You find yourself in Enugu, or you find yourself in Onitsha. You find yourself in Lagos. You are all a member of one big, huge family called Nigeria, but living in different rooms in the same house. This house, we must build it. Build it to satisfy our immediate need, which is not going to be enough yet, but our tomorrow too. That is why the removal of the fuel subsidy was necessary. you cannot spend the future of generations yet unborn in advance. Don't bankrupt the nation before they are born. And no, people will fight, grumble, abuse me and everything. But I asked for the job. It takes. I believe in my. I can gather a very good team and build a nation. It's our country. We have to work really hard for it to build a nation that we can. Negative comment about Nigeria. I'm not taking that. I'm very proud of Nigeria. You all should be proud of Nigeria. Oba is proud of Nigeria. He's doing effort to improve security of lives and property, to attract foreign investment and other investors locally. Yes, I've listened. There's no better investment that you can make than the effective security of life. And I saw those vehicles, the stress, rapid response is the way to go. It looked like the other name I created in Lagos, rapid response. Please, continue to cooperate and collaborate with your son, brother, friend here, who is really committed to pushing the development of Enugu State and be a good symbol of southeastern state, for that matter. I'm proud. The question of rail line is a work in progress. I inherited some of these critical problems, and I'm going to do it. Support for the gas infrastructure, sure. Gas is alternative fuel, and there's no wasting of time, but invest more in it. We'll do it together. I'm lucky. I have good governors. No, some may be angry with me locally, but we just have to push. The pig, Yoruba, we say Yoruba, that the pig will get to the slaughter, but there will be a lot of noise. Live with the noise. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, the President, the Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this brings to a close the interactive session. All rise for the national anthem.
All right, you've been watching live in Enugu State, President Tinubu's unveiling of key projects in that state, and of course Governor Peter Mba giving his response. Overall, we've seen quite a number of projects being unveiled, and of course
Thank you very
Seems
much.
to be a happy occasion
And
for
allow His Excellency
everyone
the President
at
to
the
lead
moment.
us. Thank you very much.
You're watching Arise, the world's standout news channel. Arise News, awards, and beyond.